Hey folks, welcome back to Dad's Garage. Hey, today we're working on the Maverick again, and wanted to share with you all on how to change the spark plugs on an EcoBoost engine. This is fairly simple on this particular vehicle. As you can see, these are the ignition coils, and all you have to do is remove the this little bolt here, and it's this is an 8mm long socket that you can use to remove those, and it should come right out. The only one that's a little tricky is this one over here that's right underneath the high pressure fuel pump pipe, if you can see there. But I think we should be able to remove it because these are actually very flexible. The boot inside is flexible and you can just move it around. So let's see how it goes. So the spark plugs that I'm going to be using today is the ep5 Motorcraft Platinums, and this is what's recommended as a replacement. So I like to stick with Motorcraft for the spark plugs especially. And if you read the manual, I think it says that you should be able to run these up until 100,000 miles, but I follow the severe maintenance schedule. So I do the oil changes at 5,000 miles, I change the transmission fluid at 30,000 miles, and I do the front differential and the rear disconnect unit at the same time, every 30,000 miles. And I have videos performing those maintenance tasks that you can watch on my channel here. But today, this should be a fairly simple thing to do. The only tools that you need is a 5/8 spark plug socket, and again, the 8mm long socket, so you can take out those bolts. And let's begin. All right, so to begin, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the wires from the ignition coils. As you can see here, this is very simple. All you have to do is push back on this little white clip here. I don't know if you saw that, but we're pushing back, and I already did this one and this one. And all we have after that, they just come out really easily. So, and there's no, you don't have to worry about location or anything, because they're all very close to where they need to go. So I'm just gonna remove them, and this one's a little stuck here. It's hard to get to, but it should come right up. All right, so I've removed the electrical connection to the ignition coils, and what I'm going to do now is remove the 8mm, and I need to get a little something here to remove. Just going to remove the cover of this connector here. These just hold the wires, and there's a couple of them, as you can see here. This will allow me to remove the bolt, and I'm using 8mm long socket. And this one you can just get from back here. You don't have to remove any of those pipes. And this last one is back here. And for this one, I'm going to remove just this left tube here, just so that I can get through it. All you have to do to remove this one is press in on this little button, and it should release very easily. This one's a little more complicated, but it's still easy, but I don't need to do that one. Okay. And set these aside, make sure you don't drop them. Now, to remove the ignition coils, what we're going to do is we want to make sure we put them back in the same place. I know it really doesn't matter, but I like to do that. And I just move it around a little bit from side to side so that it releases in case it's stuck in there, and then just pull slowly out. And as you can see, these are very flexible, so we shouldn't have any trouble taking out that last one there. And just inspect them, make sure there's no white dust type marks around here, because that can tell you that the arc is escaping the area. And you're probably going to see that at you know, when the engines have really high mileage, but this one looks almost brand new. I only have 60,000 miles on it, so. And I'm just going to set them aside in order. Okay, this is number 2. Again, inspect it, make sure everything looks good. All right. And we're going to take out the next one. And you can see they're very flexible, so you know, if there's something in the way, you should be able to move them out. This one looks excellent too. And the last one that looks a little more complicated, I should be able to just pull it out, so, and just move it towards the side, and it should just come right off. All right, perfect. So this one also looks in excellent shape. Just going to put it here. It also helps if the engine has cooled down quite a bit. This one's still a little warm, so I should have waited a little bit. So now we're going to take out the spark plugs. All right, folks, so now we're going to get ready to remove the old spark plugs. And as you can see, I'm using a 5/8 spark plug socket. It has a little rubber thing inside to hold the spark plug, but if it doesn't come out with it, I have a long magnet that I can use to remove it. So just put it in here, make sure it's all seated properly, and start removing it. It's should be easy. This one appears to be very dry. Looks like Ford doesn't put any type of anti-seize or anything on these spark plugs. I like to use it, and I'll show you. I just put a little dab of anti-seize. And let's see, it didn't come out, so I'm just gonna try again until it's complete. These are pretty long too, so long threads. And it didn't come out, so I'm just gonna use a little magnet. Doesn't want to come out. I'll use another one. All right, folks, so I have my little trusty magnet here that I'm going to use to remove the spark plug. I've already loosened it, and it should just stick to it. And let's take a look. So reading a spark plug can really tell you the health of an engine. As you can see, it all looks pretty good, pretty clean. The electrode doesn't look, I mean, these are platinum. They come like that from the factory, so they don't wear out too easily, but it looks perfect. Now, according to the specifications, these should be gapped at 0.30, I believe, and I already double checked the new ones, but these look excellent. And then we can compare each cylinder to make sure everything's good, but this is a 60,000 mile engine, so I shouldn't have any trouble. And I'm going to remove all of them, and then we'll install the new ones. Okay, folks, so we took out 3 of the spark plugs already. They all look pretty much the same, excellent condition. So I will go ahead and do the 4th one. And for the fourth one, we do have to remove this little pipe here, because it's kind of hard to get the extension in there. So this is very, very simple to take off. So you just you see these little 2 sides here, you just pull out like that, and then just press in, and you should be able to remove it. So now it's out of the way. I should have done that from the beginning, but anyway, and then that'll give us better access to the spark plug down there, and then we can just remove this little connector here is kind of in the way, but I like to use these swivel type extensions, and you should be able to remove it easily. Here we go. All right, folks, so now we're getting ready to install the new spark plugs. As you can see, I like to compare them, even though, you know, it's the right part number and all that good stuff, but make sure that everything looks exactly the same. And I did check the gap, and they all came perfectly fine at 0.30. So you should be able to just install them, you know, like you normally do a spark plug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of this anti-seize, and I know some folks say that you shouldn't, some you should, and it helps, but I always do it, and especially just going in on an aluminum head. I just put a tiny bit at the beginning, like that, on each one. And then I spread it around. It's just at the beginning here. It'll spread around also when you start putting them in. So this is very messy, so make sure you have a rag laying around. So let's just spread it around. Make sure you don't get it on the electrodes or anything. And just, this should help, because those original ones from the factory, they were very dry, so they came out, they didn't come out that easily. So all right, this should do it. And clean your hands really well afterwards, because then you're going to make a mess everywhere. Make sure you don't have any of the anti-seize in your hands. So to install them right back, because you have to like drop them in. I don't have a good spark plug socket, so normally if you have a good one, you just stick in here, and you can just use this to start them in by hand. Make sure you always start them in by hand. You don't want to cross thread them or anything. But what I do is I just, you know, put it here and I let it drop, and I can sometimes turn it like this and it'll start the thread, or I can use a little hose or something and just put it here and use this to start it. I'm going to use the magnet first and see. All right, folks, so now we're getting ready to install the new spark plugs. The way I like to do it is just with a strong magnet, just let it in very slowly right on the center, and it should be able to, you should be able to start a few of the threads by just turning the magnet a little bit like this, and it should hold in there. If you don't have a good, I just like to feel to make sure that's right in the center. If you don't have a good magnet, you can use the hose method, but this one usually works for me. So now I get the socket and I put it in there, and I keep threading it by hand, and it should go in smoothly all the way until you feel like it's starting to seat. And see, now I can't turn it anymore. It already reached the end, and with that anti-seize, it's like a little lubricant also, so it helps. I did read that if you use anti-seize, you have to be careful during the torque method or applying the torque settings, because you have to reduce that a little bit. I think they said like 20%, but this should work. That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing for all the other ones. Okay, folks, so we're getting ready to torque down the spark plugs. I did install them all by hand, and I turned them until seated. And then I'm going to use my torque wrench here. According to the specifications book, the torque setting should be 10 to 18 foot-pounds. And when you use anti-seize, you can't go all the way, because it throws off the spec a little. So they recommend you reduce the torque setting a little bit. So I'm going to set mine to 14 foot-pounds just to be safe. So I did already start it, and I should be able to just click. And some folks like to hold the click for 3 seconds to make sure that reaches the actual torque setting. And you can test it a few times. You can see here. And the last one. All right, we are done. Now we're going to install the ignition coils back in the same order we removed them. And I do like to add a little bit of dielectric grease just to the insides a little bit here to make it flow. This is totally dry, so I'm going to go ahead and find some dielectric grease and just put a little bit on it, because as the engines get older, they do tend to stick in there. So I'll be back. All right, we're going to go ahead and install the ignition coils. All we have to do is put them in straight there, press them a little bit, and that should do it. Again, I put a little bit of that dielectric grease on everything, and it should just go in pretty smoothly. And we're going into number 3. Perfect. Now we're going to go with number 4. I'm glad Ford made these really flexible so that I didn't have to remove that high pressure hose there. Oof, that would have been a mess, but it goes in pretty easily. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tighten these really well. I don't have the specifications on that bolt that holds down the ignition coils, but just be careful. I mean, I've done this so many times that I kind of have the specs on my hands, so you don't have to over tighten it. But and here we go. The long part goes down. I like to thread things in by hand if possible. You never want to cross thread this stuff. You don't want to replace an expensive cover. So okay, and the last one goes over here on the 4th one. All right, we're going to go ahead and tighten down the ignition coils, nice and tight. Don't overdo it. This doesn't have to be that tight. They were pretty easy to remove. There we go, and they all fall into place once you tighten them up. And the last one. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and connect all the electrical connections here. So we push it in all the way, and we push in the white clip to secure it in place. We're going to do the same thing for all of them. And this is number 3. And number 4. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to put all these wire holders back over the top of the bolts that hold down the ignition coil. Make it look like we did a professional job. There we go. Perfect. And not forget these two. They should simply pop in place. And then push this yellow clip in to secure that. And that will prevent it from ever going out. Okay, double check everything, make sure everything looks good. And that's it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to chime in. And thank you once again for watching.